A snowstorm is on the way for areas of the southeast for tomorrow, our Sunday, and we're here to give you all the new information that we have from the afternoon to the evening model runs. And we're not just going to talk about the southeast in this video. We're going to work our way up the east coast into the mid-Atlantic and New England, where chances are increasing for accumulating snow. So we'll give you details on that area also. We'll go over all the individual model runs first, then we'll speak on all these snowfall graphics, and after that, we'll speak on the pattern to come to round off January, even speak a little bit on early February. Folks, I think the pattern is locked and loaded with winter storm potential for the foreseeable future, even for areas of the South. So my name is Mitch. Good Saturday evening. I hope you guys are doing well. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please drop it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So first off, we're going to go over the HRRR model run, and it goes all the way out to about, I believe, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, maybe 9. And then we're going to switch it to the long range because the short range, the newest one we have, does not extend all the way through the system. So we're going to start off in the southeast. It's around midnight tonight. The green, the yellow, that is just rain. Any kind of blue you see on your screen, that is snow. You're not going to really see anything in between with this. No freezing rain. You're not going to see much sleet. But let's continue to move forward. So timestamp is up here. We're all in Eastern time in this storm system. So we're getting into the wee hours of the morning. We start to make our way until about 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. So, I mean, this system is right in front of us, right? And you see the blue pop up. Some of that rain begins to switch to some heavy wet snow in southeast Alabama. The panhandle of, almost said Texas, the panhandle of Florida, western panhandle. It's almost all the way back here to Mobile, but some model guys has it snowing in Mobile, some doesn't. And you see this area of moisture getting all the way up into the Carolinas. You might be wondering, well, why is it snowing in southeast Alabama and not in the Carolinas? Well, the cold air is actually working in from the northwest, and it's actually able to hit the precipitation better. There's a little bit of a lag with the cold air due to the mountains and just not a favorable high pressure placement to really feed cold air into this moisture. So this is kind of a cold air chasing moisture event for everybody, but it favors, the way this is positioning the cold air, it favors areas to the southwest a little bit more across the deep south. But we continue to move forward here, and we take it about 7 a.m. This is 8, 9, 10, and that is not just snow, folks, but that is extremely heavy, wet snow. There's nothing dry about this snow like we saw in this area kind of around this time last January. This is heavy, wet snow, and rain is switching to snow in Tallahassee, areas of the Panhandle. Is it going to switch to snow in Columbia? It never quite does on this run of the HRRR model. In Charlotte, it's raining up in Raleigh. Now we have to kind of connect the dots here, and we'll switch it back to the 18Z. What is the full evolution of this storm? We continue to move forward, and it's like it hits the South Carolina-Georgia border, basically gets to Augusta, and it just goes from snow to rain, rain to snow. And this is just rain in areas of the Carolinas. It's snowing down here in Georgia. It's starting to taper off in like Tallahassee. And you might be wondering, why isn't snowing in Columbia? Well, I live here, guys, and I don't want to get too, personal with this, but I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a bummer. I'm bummed out this evening because now all model guidance is showing exactly what this shows, and that is just some sort of warm bubble. And I'll speak a little bit on it as we go on why it's showing this here in a second. But, this is all rain in the Eastern Carolinas. Okay, but hold your horses. Don't get too bummed out. This is just one model run. But you continue to move forward, folks, and we go on and take it up the road with this. And what does it show for the Mid-Atlantic and the, let's back it up a little bit, the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast? Here it comes. This is getting to 5 o'clock. This is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. We got a quick-hitting snowstorm moving across areas of the Northeast. It doesn't really do much to the Mid-Atlantic area, but we got a period of accumulating snow. We've already had snow in this area this morning, today, across the Northeast, but we have more snow moving in tomorrow morning, and heck, it tries to bag build as we get into tomorrow evening, and all of a sudden, if you kind of bump it back down here, show more areas of the Mid-Atlantic. Rain tries to switch to snow in Delaware, the Tidewater areas of Maryland, and it really cranks up and it starts to ride through New England. This is 1 o'clock Monday morning, and I mean, it turns into a pretty decent event. So what about the NAM 3KM model? All right, this is around midnight tonight. I want to note that it does show some snow trying to get into the eastern Tennessee mountains, western North Carolina, some snow up into Charleston, West Virginia. You keep this going, and we make our way till about tomorrow morning. Same thing, shows this. It's thinner. This area of really heavy wet snow cold air is hitting the moisture in the backside on the western end. We got heavy wet snow falling from Dothan, Alabama, all the way through Columbus or just south. And, it doesn't show as much blue on this screen. So it kind of shows more of a thin area of snow on this. But, rain tries to switch to snow in Augusta. It's snowing down here in central Georgia. And the rain is in the green and the yellow. In fact, we got thunderstorms off the coastline. And then, tries to briefly switch to a rain-snow mix around Columbia, points south, and we get this corridor of heavy wet snow for a while in Greensboro, Raleigh, and then it tapers off and gets all the way up to Norfolk. Now let's go on and back this up, and let's go on and move it up into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast here. And let's back it up a little bit. I mean, this is starting to turn into a long duration event. Now, NAM wants moisture to get all the way into New England as early as 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we already got heavy snow riding through areas of PA, northern New Jersey, southern New England, and we keep going. This is your timestamp up here. I'm not going to go word for word on the time clock here, but it shows a secondary boost right here. Look at Richmond down there. Look at the Tidewater. New York City getting snow. It's at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And look at this heavy, heavy wet snow across southern New England. And then it tries to wrap up, get up the coastline, get into the down east areas of Maine, and it shows this kind of area of snow develop. This could turn into your biggest snowstorm of the year in Boston. In fact, I think it is. It's really snuck up on us here. And then I'll show you one more short range model here, the FV3 model, just to provide some hopium here, if you will. And this is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, gets snow all the way up to Atlanta. So if you're wondering, in Atlanta, you're going to be plenty cold enough. You just need moisture. And honestly, in my personal opinion, I'd rather be on the dry side, waiting for that northwest trend, plenty cold enough, than being on the warm and moist side, which is where I'm at in Columbia. But snow gets all the way up into Montgomery. I mean, it's just basically a snowstorm from southeast Alabama, areas of the Panhandle, all the way into Georgia. And then we start to get into 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. That is very heavy wet snow around Macon and all the towns and communities down here. And then we start to take it into about midday tomorrow. The rain tries to switch to snow. I mean, it's heavy snow in Augusta. Tries to switch to snow in Columbia. It is snowing. Look how far west it gets. It gets all the way back to Hickory, all the way back to Asheville, Charlotte, Greensboro, and tries to switch to a period of heavy wet snow here at the end in Columbia, up to Raleigh, and then it wraps up. Same thing up here in the Northeast. Let's back it up a little bit, and here's the system up here, and we'll get this in motion here, and this is what it looks like. I'm just going to kind of zip it through here fast. This is tomorrow afternoon. Wait, that's a quick hitting snowstorm for you folks. All right, and then we start to get into Monday morning. So as short range models, what about some of these global models? I think you can see the warm bubble the most in South Carolina. So we start off Sunday morning. You can see it's snowing all the way down the western panhandle of Florida, snowing in Mobile. Heck, this even shows snow in southern Mississippi. Snow's trying to get all the way up to Atlanta on this run. And then you see the very heavy band of snow here from southeast Alabama, western panhandle of Florida. And this is mid-morning tomorrow morning. You see the darker shades of blue in Georgia, and it just struggles to switch to snow. We got plenty of moisture in central South Carolina. We don't have we don't have enough moisture in like Atlanta to Greenville, Spartanburg to Charlotte. Down to the Midlands we do, but we're just getting too much warm air aloft and at the surface. We're just getting a delay here, and I think it's a combination between a delay of the cold air from the mountains, and I think there's some sort of mesoscale feature here, like a meso low or something, and just a coastal low developing, and I think it's throwing some warm air back into South Carolina. As the low pressure develops, warm air advection is getting thrown back into central South Carolina. I think that is just crippling us. And, it's going to be a situation that is just going to be tough to figure out. So we get into tomorrow evening. It does throw some hope for, northeast North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, where you got basically a quick-hitting snowstorm that moves in. And it tries to make it all the way up into southern New England, but we had a tick southeast with this, and then it wraps up. What about the Euro? Well, I think we have the new Euro running now, so we'll see what that looks like. And I think we did have a tick northwest. But anyways, this is tomorrow morning. You can see the area of snow here, and then we continue to move forward here. And look, it's trying to, develop a little bit of snow. And I'll tell you, this looks a little bit warmer compared to, well, a little bit colder, I would say, compared to the run earlier. But you can see the snow. And I hadn't even looked at this yet. That's why I'm slowing down, because I'm actually kind of analyzing this as I go here. But you can see the snow across central areas of Georgia, some snow back in the Panhandle, Florida. And then there's that weird bubble, a little bit warm air right here, making it green. I'm making it rain here, but this is snow here in central North Carolina, and then you're getting a little bit of a corridor of, moderate snow, maybe in kind of the northern Midlands and the upstate of South Carolina, and you continue to move forward, and you can see that warm bubble pretty well here. Just trying not to get off track here, but you guys know how much I love snow, and I live here in central South Carolina. And if you're new, you're like, dude, just keep going. But if you're local to the channel, and this is a bummer to me. I live here in central South Carolina, and literally all model guidance just shows kind of just flipping the bird to me. I mean, I know that's a little inappropriate there, but it's really has stunk over the last 24 hours, seeing all model guidance really lock into this just warm bubble here. But anyways, we'll continue to move forward, show some snow up here just east of Charlotte, into the triangle of North Carolina, show some snow, and then it tries to wrap up into southern New England. You can see how it's really trying to climb up the coast, delivering some heavy snow up in the down east areas of Maine. So let's go over the snowfall forecast, guys. I'm going to have to move my head out of the way. Now, if you're like, dude, I don't live in Alabama, Mississippi, I live in Maryland or something, just skip ahead. I'm not going to make a timestamp for every single state area. That would just be a ridiculous amount of timestamps. So you're just going to have to maneuver your way through this update. I'm literally going to cover every state that's going to get impacted by this system upcoming. This is Alabama, Mississippi. The only area you're going to see accumulating snow probably is southeast Alabama and the western panhandle of Florida. This is the National Weather Service forecast. They are certainly downplaying this. You're going to get more than this, I think, in Dothan. That's just my take. But, same area. You look at, what is this? This is the HRRR model run, throwing 2 inches in Dothan. I think that's possible. And look, it's trying to dump 2 to 3 inches of snow into the central panhandle of Florida. I think that's possible, guys. And then we look at the NAM 3KM. 2 inches of snow in Dothan, surrounding areas. I know I just keep saying Dothan, but it's the only town name I see on here. But hopefully you know where you are on the map and here in Alabama. Then show some snow here in the panhandle of Florida. And I will throw a bone and show you guys the Euro Ensemble. Shows about 1 inch in Dothan, and Montgomery even says 0.2 of an inch. Columbus, 0.6 of an inch of snow, and shows about a 1 inch mean average into the panhandle of Florida. Now, moving over, looking at other areas of the panhandle here in Georgia. This is the National Weather Service forecast graphic from Tallahassee. It's crazy. You guys are going to get more snow. You just got it last year. Sometimes you guys go 10 years, 5 to 10 years without accumulating snow down here. And it just seems like it's been y'all's winter lately. So a few tenths of an inch of snow down here is to be enough to make the ground white. And listen, I think it'll overachieve. I think these areas could get 1 to 2 inches of snow. And this is the winter storm warning area, and I'll show you that graphic here in a second. Macon going for 2 inches of snow now. It's a big deal here in the south. I know you guys up north are laughing. But Dublin, 1 to 2 inches of snow. It's going to be the jackpot area right here where Interstate 1675 all come together. I think we're going to jackpot here. But just looking at some other graphics, this is another way to look at the National Weather Service graphic. 1/10 of an inch of snow in Augusta. It stops, just armpit of hell here in central South Carolina. Stops there. And then this is the HRRR model run, the whole one. And it literally just stops right at the South Carolina-Georgia border. That literally is the entirety of the run, guys. I'm not stopping it short here. It just literally stops at the South Carolina-Georgia border. Yeah, but I mean, look down here. Macon, Albany, almost down to Valdosta, Statesboro. I mean, whoever lives in these small towns here in Georgia, you're going to get a snowstorm. And then this is the 3KM model, kind of similar to the HRRR model, like I said, and unfortunately agreeing with this warm bubble. And it literally goes around Columbia. Pretty wild stuff. I live right here. Big snow fan. But, you look in the upper sections of the Midlands here, the upstate, someone might sneak some accumulating snow. I'm just comparing model guidance at this point. And this is the Euro Ensemble, which is really highlighting the area that has a winter storm warning. Now, going up the road into North Carolina, Virginia, other states, this is the National Weather Service forecast. And listen, there is going to be some areas that are going to be excited in this area because they're only going for a few tenths of an inch of snow. But we could easily overachieve these totals, especially in this region over here. All right, this is the HRRR model, very splotchy. Richmond, 1 to 2 inches of snow, but right down the road, not a whole lot. If I'm going too fast, just pause the screen. Raleigh on the 3KM NAM, 1 to 2 inches of snow. Greensboro, almost an inch. Charlotte tries to throw 3/10 of an inch here. And then this is the GFS. I want to throw a bone to this because it is really, I like to compare model guides. And I really want to show you the GFS because it is going crazy in areas of eastern North Carolina, southeast Virginia with multiple inches of wet snow. And then this is the Euro Ensemble. And it likes the Raleigh area, Fayetteville, over to Greenville, Greensboro. It wants to give you guys 1 to 2 inches of snow here. And then this is the National Weather Service forecast for the next 48 hours here in the D.C., Washington area, and Baltimore area. And then it shows Delaware over here, Dover, maybe an inch, inch and a half of snow. Pause the screen if you need to, if I'm going too fast. This is the H-R model run. Very, very splotchy, right? And that's the way it could possibly be. And then this is the 3KM model run. You know, it shows more down here. Okay. And this is the this is the GFS run, I'm sorry. And it really likes the idea of giving a snowstorm for southern areas of Delaware into the Tidewater of Maryland to Delmarva. And then this is the ensemble run between now and the next few days. You know, dumps a few inches of snow over the DC, Baltimore area. And it looks like everybody's at least going to get a touch of snow. And then we take it up into southern New England, which this includes New York City too. But this is the National Weather Service forecast between now and 1 p.m. Monday. A few inches of snow is possible. I mean, they're going for 4 to 5 inches of snow in New York City. And then this is the H-R model. This is when the totals start to get higher. Boston only going for 3 to 4 inches of snow, but you get over towards the Worcester Hills here, you know, over a half a foot's possible, and it kind of matches up with what the National Weather Service shows around around the New York City area. And this is the 3KM model run. It really wants to dump a half a foot of snow across areas of southern New England. And this is the Euro Ensemble. A nice 3 to 6 inch event across these areas. And then this is Maine. This is the National Weather Service forecast. And then this is the Euro Ensemble blend. Like I said, if I work too fast through all that, you know, it takes so much energy to list all these town names out loud. You know, definitely just pause it. And there's Google Browser. That's cool. And then there's, you know, the watches, warnings, and advisories here. And we have winter storm warnings up. It's insane, guys. It really is. It hit 70 degrees today in some of these areas. 70 degrees. But we got winter storm warnings right here in the heart of Georgia. This includes Warner Robins, Macon. I always want to say Warner Brothers. Eastman, Dublin, Cordelli, Americus. Hopefully I said the names of these right. So winter storm warning is up, and if you read the discussion, between 1 and 3 inches of snow is possible to likely. We got special weather statements over here for Statesboro for talking about some snow potential. And then we got winter weather advisories around this area. Guys, we got winter weather advisories all the way down to the Panhandle of Florida. And then there's really nothing across the Carolinas. And I don't blame them for issuing nothing in the Carolinas because, you know, confidence is not high. But listen, this is an area where I think we're going to get some winter weather advisories if model guides can come into agreement. Right in this area, but we'll see. We do have winter weather advisories across areas of southern Maryland and Virginia, and then we got winter weather advisories up across the Philadelphia, the New York City, Long Island, all the way up to Boston corridor. But we get upgrades and winter storm warnings here. And listen, an area of the video I'm not going to be able to talk about much is we got winter storm warnings up from Buffalo up into the Tuckahoe Plateau for 20 plus inches of snow that are possible. But talking about the pattern coming up, I want to start everything off with this coming Tuesday. So the reds with pinks embedded, this is the warmer colors you see on your screen. This is higher heights. It's basically ridging, higher pressure, and brings warmer than average temperatures. We call it a ridge of high pressure. And then the blues, the cooler colors you see on your screen, the blues, the greens embedded in that is a trough. That's lower pressure and lower heights. So that's what brings your energy and cold air associated with it. So we start off Tuesday morning of next week, the 20th. And you can see big, tall, spiking ridge all the way up into Alaska. Trough, digging down, buckling of the jet, cold air digging down to this trough, energy associated with it. Is there going to be some type of storm system with this sometime next week? It's possible. We could have some energy kind of scooting through here. But regardless, it's going to bring a pretty cold shot of air. Now, this trough does not go anywhere. What happens is it sort of retracts back to the north. And we try to get some zonal ridging that sets up. Ridging will remain across the west, just lack of winter so far this winter up here. We will continue to have a tall spiking ridge up to Alaska, but a kind of a zonal ridge does try to build across the south. This could try to warm us back up to average temperatures, something like that. But then we get into late next week, and the trough tries to nudge itself back to the south, kind of breaking this ridge again. And this could kind of reinforce the cold air further to the south. It's going to stay cold in this area right here, at the base of this trough. But cold air could try to dip a little bit more south and freeze us up again down here. And then we move forward after this. And the trough doesn't go anywhere. It kind of broadens out. The base of it stretches from the west to the east here. So this is going to continue to funnel in deep, cold air down into this region. But we're going to have some sort of battleground right in here. Ridging will try to flex. A torch? I don't think so. But we could get a period of ridging maybe towards the end of next week into next weekend. Could warm us up for a bit. But it ain't going to last long, folks. After that, a strong signal for a trough digs down at about day 8 to day 11. And, we got a spiking ridge out west. We got deep blocking across the higher latitudes. We call this negative AO, negative NAO. And I'm going to move this a little bit more. And the only teleconnection not really working for us as much as this right here. But listen, this is a ridge right here. And I think this is going to continue to shift to the west. It already is. If you look at the 3-run trend, this blue area, this trough, is already shifting to the west here. You got high latitude blocking, and you got cold air diving to this, and we got energy meeting up. And I really think that this is going to bring us winter weather across the east, and I think it's going to bring us a winter storm across the south. It is an extremely loud signal for a long range signal, and this is getting to the last few to several days of January. Not too far away from that. It's January 17th. We'll be there before you know it. And we keep just going here. I mean, what does the pattern look like after that? I mean, who knows? I'm not going to discuss too much more after that. But when you kind of look at that and then you compare it to what the temperatures look like, right? Well, you saw the trough show up that I was showing that was digging over early next week. In response, you got all those colder than average colors showing up on the eastern U.S. and the Great Lakes region, the blues, the greens, the purples. That's well below average temperatures. And it is the coldest time of the year. Between now and late January, climo-wise, it's the coldest time of the year. So 5 degrees below average is pretty darn cold really anywhere. And then we get a little brief warm-up, but I don't even think it stays warm. In some areas, I don't even think it's going to warm up. And then we get that nose of the ridge. It tries to dig down, and we'll try to get us cold again across the east. And then this is what I'm talking about with that zonal Arctic flow that sets up. I mean, there is just a mean battleground setting up right here. And listen, this is about under a week out. It's under a week out. And this could trend a little bit further this way. But there's some warm air to the south and cold, brutally Arctic air up here. And watch how it dislodges across the central and eastern U.S. in time. It kind of oozes downward. And then at the end of the run, you can see a full kind of unleashing of the Arctic air across the central to the eastern U.S. And that's an exceptionally strong signal in the longer range for very, very cold air. It's probably one of the strongest signals that I've ever seen since actively following the weather. So the big question obviously is this going to bring us a winter storm? Well, if you look at the Euro and you look at the central U.S. and we move this through starting off next Wednesday, I want to watch some energy connection sometime late next week, Thursday into Friday. Something might work out there. And then we get into next weekend. You can see the tail end of a winter weather event starting here, some snow sweeping across and some Arctic air. And then we get, around this time next week, and then we get into the 26th. You can see the date up here, and it does show a winter storm. And there is a strong signal for this winter storm, folks. I mean, it's almost hard to comprehend how wild it is, and almost all model guidance is showing a winter storm around the day 8 to day 12 time frame. Of course, we know that's going to change, right? That doesn't mean you lock it in, but I mean, obviously, it shows a winter storm across areas of the Mississippi Valley, and then it sweeps across the east. And then what happens after that, not sure. But the GFS, what does it show? And let's make sure we have the entirety of the GFS. And there's that first system we'll watch later next week. We'll start to hone in on that after we move past this snow event we got in front of us. And then shows a lot of moisture bubbling up, colliding with the Arctic air, oozing south that you saw in the ensemble. And that could be a big, beefy event right there. The 12Z run showed a diabolical winter storm. I mean, it was just crazy, very unrealistic. And then we get to that time frame, right? 26th. Listen, I'm telling you right now, between the 26th and the 31st, that is something to really watch across the central and especially the eastern U.S. and even the southern tier of the country. And you can see some dots starting to connect here. Winter weather as far south as Louisiana. And then a big system begins to sweep across the southern tier of the country at the end of this. I mean, that's a deep south winter storm, and then makes its way into the eastern U.S. After that. And then you look, we look at the eastern U.S. here, and there's that kind of late week system. And then we move forward after that, and then we get into this weekend, and it shows a winter storm sweeping across the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley. I wouldn't call that a winter storm, just kind of a winter weather event. But watch that, and then we get into the last week of January, that time frame I'm talking about, 26 through the end of the month. There it is. It's a little bit amped up on the Euro, but that is a major winter storm, major freezing rain event across North Carolina, snow to the north. And then after that, anything else shows a clipper. And, yeah, I mean, who knows what happens after that. GFS, what does it show? Let's update this, make sure we're good to go here. And we move this forward, and it's a little bit more aggressive with the late work week system. And we move past that, get into next weekend. There's that juiced up system that I think is probably going to be pretty amped because remember, next weekend we could have that warm up, a little bit of a flexing of the ridge across the southeast. And I think this will be mainly a rain event for the south, winter storm for the north, at least potential for it. And then we move past that, and then we get to the time frame of interest. And here it is. It shows a huge winter storm. It's very far out, I know. This is 28th, 29th of January, but that's a huge winter storm in the GFS. It just continues to print out winter storms. Even the GFS AI model. I mean, you have to look at just precipitation and break it down. I mean, it even shows it, guys. I mean, there's that system right there. Next weekend, it's gonna be amped up, and at the very end of the run, you can look at that 0 degrees aloft line in the 850s, and that is a winter storm to the north here. That is a winter storm. Look at temperatures, and it is cold enough for winter weather on the northern side of that precipitation. And then you look at we can even look at I think it's RAN. Let's see. Let's look at I haven't even looked at this yet. This is the Euro AI model run. Let's see if it shows another winter storm. It's been printing them out too. And look, it's got a little bit suppressed with the system next weekend. And look at that. I mean, see, the Euro AI model is a little different. It wants to throw a winter weather event almost all the way down to the southeast. Look at temperatures with this, and it's a little bit too warm, but that's definitely a colder scenario with the system next week. And it tries to round up the coast. And does it show that timeline of interest? Yeah, it absolutely does. Here it comes moving in. What's the temperatures look like? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, that is just a ridiculous cold storm. I mean, that is temperatures in the 20s with just a monsoon of moisture moving in. That would be a major, major winter storm. And that's actually a couple days, that's a couple days before the time frame of interest, and it rounds up the coast, and then it tries to show another event after that. So this, for example, because this just shows precipitation, I mean, what would the snow look like on this graphic? Here it is. Boom. You see how it fills in right there? So, and on the south of that would be freezing rain and ice. So, pretty wild stuff here. And yeah, I mean, there's the signal for snow for the first event tomorrow. And there it is. It's showing it just, it's showing it hitting the South Carolina border and stopping. Man, that's so depressing. The Euro extended here. I want to show you this really fast. And it shows the trough, that's winter storm signal just past day 10 across the east. It shows a little warm up, but then as we're getting into February, it's February 5th and the 6th, shows another signal for troughing. And watch what happens here. Guys, this is just a crazy signal about a week or two into February showing up. I mean, deep troughing. This is loud off the Euro ensemble, guys. The extended weeklies. I mean, this is basically popped up out of nowhere. Let's see if there's a trend here. Let's look at the trend of this. Yeah, showing a ridge, and look how this has trended to a trough. Now, I'm sure this will back off last run, but yeah, I mean, it just, if we look at the next few days, yeah, I mean, this is between now and the next 32 days, mid-February, and that is a strong signal for just cold across the east. And just to round this video off, we'll look at the Climate Prediction Center outlook and the latest one from today. And you can see the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. It looks frigid across the eastern U.S. Around near normal precipitation expected, but yeah, folks, I mean, the cold and Arctic is nowhere close to done. So if you're sick of winter, it's really going to annoy you over the next several weeks. So that's all I got. Hey, sorry about kind of throwing my emotions into this, with talking about South Carolina and stuff like that, and that's where I live. I'm very passionate about, obviously, weather. It's my passion, but as far as genres in weather, winter weather is certainly my favorite. And I live here in Central South Carolina, Columbia to be exact. And it's kind of one of those things where you can talk about your passion, which is what I get to do, and I'm blessed to do it. But at some point, you really want to enjoy your passion, right? And enjoying weather, which is my passion, would be obviously it's snowing, and honestly, I think it just tears my nerves up that it is snowing south of me or southwest of me, and I'm happy for you guys in Georgia, I am, but it just really stinks, and I'm bummed about it, and I'm hoping, and I'm even praying for a little bit of a surprise tomorrow across my neck of the woods. But it's hard to argue against all model guidance showing the little bubble of warm air over South Carolina, and it's a bit of a bummer. So it's just crazy how it just can't work out. So I'm human. I certainly get my feelings into it sometimes, but I talk about model maturity and not swinging one way with the emotions, and here I am being a little bit of a hypocrite with it. But when you're passionate about something, and you get what I'm saying. I'm done with my soapbox, guys. We'll continue to try to figure it out. It's an exciting storm for a lot of people. So we'll see if there's any tricks up its sleeve, some surprises, and things like that. God bless all y'all. You have a wonderful night. We'll do it again tomorrow morning. God bless.